G'day, it's Alex here, Victor Kilo 2 Papa Radio Charlie over here in Australia. You may recently have seen a video that I've put up on my channel where I've converted a dilapidated set to a DDS or a digital front end set that I'm very happy with and been using now for a little while. Not saying that there's anything wrong with the original sets, I much prefer those as well. And here on the bench today, I've actually got my absolute favourite standard set that I use on a daily basis. And it looks a bit beat up, I know. It's had plenty of use in the army and plenty of use for me as well. And if you have a look, it's even got the lower sideband conversion that I've put in. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that now. What I want to talk about here today is the receive capabilities for these radios. In the one that I recently modified for the DDS tuner, I also did a little bit of work adjustment around the receive section of the radio, and I've improved the receive incredibly compared to the standard. So for a long time now, I've sort of had a suspicion that my regular set here doesn't quite hear as well as what I'd like it to hear. I get on the air, sometimes I have to decline very weak stations because I just can't hear them. But I'm aware that other stations out there are hearing them. So I've said to myself for a long time now, does this particular Clansman hear as good as what it could? And I've come to the realization that it probably isn't, gauging on the adjustments that I've done to the recently converted DDS set. So what I've decided today is to bring my old faithful everyday Clansman into the workshop here and give the receive section a tune-up so that I can improve it and get back to the optimum sort of performance that I want out of my Clansman sets. So let's have a look at what I'm talking about here. Okay, I've made a bit of a sketch, so we'll put that up on the radio here and we'll have a bit of a look at what I'm talking about. Okay, if we look at each band selection range, and that's the band selection range on each one of these, I've just picked the band selection range that goes from 12.2 up to 19.1 megahertz. When we look at the manual suggests to get the optimum receive, we actually do some adjustments at this frequency, which is pretty close to this end, and at this frequency, which is pretty close to this end. Okay, now of course the military uses the whole band, so they want pretty good performance across the entire band, so they suggest that the setup should be at this frequency, pretty close to down here with this section of the tuner, and at this frequency up here with this section of the tuner, and that'll give me a pretty good average right across the whole band. But to tell you the honest truth, I'm really not interested in this part of the band or this part of the band down here. I'm really interested in between about 14 megahertz up to about 14.5. So why wouldn't I sacrifice some of the performance here and add it to here? Why wouldn't I do that? In fact, I did it on my DDS set with very good results. So this is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to adjust this particular radio for about 14 megahertz at the bottom end and 14.5 at the top end, and add some performance, some RX performance there. So let's have a look and see what we've actually got to do, and then we'll go and have a look at the drawing in detail. What it says is to disconnect the automatic gain control on board 6 so that we can make this adjustment. We'll have a look at that. And it says that that we adjust 3 capacitors and 3 inductors on the rotary turret. Yep. And what I'm going to do then, I'm going to inject an RF signal into my TR socket at these frequencies to make the adjustments. Yep. And then I'm going to measure the output on my Crow at terminal F, and I'm going to get the best reception I can by adjusting these particular things. Okay. So there we go. So let's have a look at the actual drawing of the 3A board and see what's actually going on here. Okay. So if we look over here, the signal's coming in. Okay, and it goes to one section in the 3A board, which is one of these inductors and capacitors that we're going to do some adjustment to. And then from there it goes to an amplifier, an RF amplifier, and that amplifier is controlled by the automatic gain control that we're going to disconnect to do the adjustment. And then the signal goes up here through the relay, and it goes to the other two adjustments on the same part of the turret. Then it goes down here, and this is a mixing section. So we're only interested in up here at the moment. And where I'm going to monitor my crow at that point there for the maximum wave that I can get, and I'm going to inject down here, which goes off to the RX socket. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to strip the radio down, and we'll pick it up at that point. Okay, we've removed all the screws, pulled her apart. It goes without saying that the turret here is keyed into the back section, so maintain the keying arrangement. Don't go revolving this into a new position and then try to put the back on, because the key waves won't line up and you won't be able to operate the radio from that point on, which is a bit of a trap for young players, that one, but just be aware of it. Yeah, and I've already got this one set on the on the range that we're going to work on, so I just have to slip the back on, not worry about the keying arrangements. It will be correct. Okay, so in order to get access to the turret, sections of the turret that we want to get into, which is the 3A board here plus the adjustments under there, we need to remove this this tuning section, which is really, it looks complicated, but to tell you the truth, it's a breeze. It's nothing to it. Okay, so the first thing you do is we've got to get that knob there off. So a couple of screwdrivers, one under each side, gently prise it, knob comes off, nut underneath, undo it with a spanner, and remove that. Okay, and then around the back here there's literally 4 screws, 1, 2 on the bottom. Take them off, and then there's one of these pink wires. When you remove that, you'll see which one it is. Just unsolder that pink wire, and the whole tuner arrangement comes off. To tell you the truth, I've actually got one off over here already from another set. So basically that's what it's going to look like when it's off, and there's the pink wire that needs to go back on again. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do that, and then we're going to pick it up there once we get the tuner off. And by the way, once you get this part off, these posts here, just a little screwdriver in the hole, give it a turn, and gently take these 4 posts, they unscrew as well, so everything's out of the way. It's easy to get in there and do the work. Okay, we've got the turret removed, and I'll just point out here, that's the link at test point F. See the little F there? That's the link that you open up to take off the automatic gain control. You just desolder that and just lift one side with the screwdriver. Okay, so we'll turn the radio around. Oh no, we won't. We can stand up and have a look down in there. Okay, so yeah, just looking down, there's the board that we're interested in, the 3A board, and just for those that are interested, that's the little changeover between the transmit and receive relay. Okay, these little black things here, they're the VK2PRC diodes for the tuning. Okay, and this particular wire here, this is the DC voltage that's sent up by the synthesizer to tune the set to different frequencies, and that comes from the 3H board, which controls the transmit variable frequency oscillator. But there we go. All right, so let's have a look here. There's a test point F. I think that's test point F right there. Sorry, test point L, not F, L. Test point L, and that's where we're going to monitor the signal with our oscilloscope. Yeah, okay. And I'm going to turn it over and have a bit of a look at the end of the top here. Okay, and these are the capacitors, and just under those, the inductors that we're going to do the adjustment for. And if you look up here, it tells you what they are, C3 and L3, etc., etc. Okay, so they're the ones that we're gonna do the adjustments at the different frequencies. Listen, it's worth mentioning at this point. See these little contacts here? These are the little contacts for the rotary turret. And remember, the turret should always be only ever turned in the clockwise direction. You'll probably notice that these ones over here are a little bit tarnished, eh? Look at those. So it's a really good idea when you get it stripped down like this to get some cloth, some polishing cloth, you know, the silver cloth that they use, just like a piece of material, and just rub those contacts with a cloth. Nothing abrasive, just polish the tarnish off those cloths with a little bit of silver cloth. Okay, and get them cleaned up again. So you've come all this way, you may as well do that little bit of maintenance as well. Also, you might have a look at the little finger contacts here that are on the turret. Make sure they're all right. There's nothing wrong with any of those as well. Bit of maintenance while you're there. Okay, so we'll get it all set up, ready to do our adjustments, and we'll get back to that. Okay, we've set up the RF generator. Don't laugh at my RF generator, it's a very old one. It was given to me by an old radio and TV tech, but it works fine, just not digital. A bit touchy on the knob, but it does work. So I've got that connected onto the TR socket there, and I'm generating, you know, pretty close to 14.5 megahertz. You can probably hear a little bit of a whistle happening in the headphones here. That's pretty well it, and I'm monitoring the test point there. Okay, so being the top of the band, I'm gonna adjust these three capacitors. They were very tight. I had to crack them. When I say crack them, just move them a little bit because they were very, very tight. They hadn't been moved for a long time. So I'm going to jump in on the first one. Yeah, I just gotta have to jump in on the first one there. Okay, so there's the trace. I'm going to move it a little bit and see if we can improve it. Oh, look at that, eh? Up she goes. Oh, up she goes. I'm even going to have to change the scale on the crow. That was the first of the three adjustments. I'll just get back on it again. A bit hard holding the phone here and doing it at the same time. I'll just get back on it there. Okay, back on it. Okay, so that's pretty well at the peak. We'll get to the next one. Oh, up we go again. Look at that, eh? Then we'll go to the last one. And up to the peak. So I've got a dramatic increase there in the wave amplitude. So that was the top of the band adjustment. So what we'll do now, we'll set up for the bottom of the band adjustment. And by the way, I've got 14.5 dialed up there. Okay, so that was the one side. We're going to do the other. Okay, I've dialed up for 14 megahertz, and our RF generator there's set up pretty close to 14 as well. Doesn't have to be smack on, close enough's good enough. Look, I've made this little tool. It's pretty hard to see, but I've actually got two needles and soldered them together. I should make a proper little handle for it, but unfortunately I haven't done that yet. So it's like a little fork shape, and the whole idea is it fits into the little inductors there. See, they've got you can't really see it, but they've got two tiny little holes, and that little bright little green section inside there moves around. This is very, very, very difficult for me to do, and also record at the same time. But look, bear in mind, I've adjusted the L3 first, the L2 second, and the L1 to get the maximum amplitudes. Exactly what I've done with the capacitors for the top of the band. And there's the wave shape that I've got. It came up probably two divisions with the adjustment. So yeah, pretty happy with that. So we've done the top of the band. Well, the top of my little band and the bottom of it to get the maximum amplitudes. So what I'm going to do now that I've got the radio pulled apart, I'm going to go and do all of the other bands that I use as well, especially the 40 meter band, because that's one of my favorites as well. So I'm just going to slip down there to that band, and I'm going to do the same adjustments from about 7.0 up to 7.5 at the top end to maximise my receive on that band. And then I'll probably go and have a look at the 80 meter band and the 10 meter band as well, just to set it up for optimum receive performance on those bands. Okay, and lastly, as I mentioned, I've got my silver cloth. This is the cloth that you get in the supermarket for polishing silverware. And I've very carefully rotated the switch there, and I've cleaned up all the little contacts, just rubbed them, and they've left a lot of there it is there. There's a lot of black verdigris that's come off from the contacts. So I've managed to clean them up, really well. So I've done a little bit of maintenance while I'm here. Okay, so I'm going to put the set back together again now, and get them back on the air, and sort of gauge the benefits to the receive. Right, so I've put it all back together again. The inspection covers, the turret, soldered the wire, put the knob and the retaining screw and washer back on there, I should say nut and washer. Most importantly, underneath at test point F, we've reconnected the link for the automatic gain control. Always a good idea, guys, before you put your radio all back together with 1 million screws, put the back on it like I've done it here, and run it through its paces on the bench. Connect the dummy load, make sure it's transmitting, make sure it's tuning on the bands, and everything's exactly right, and then pull it apart again and put it back in the case. So righto, so what I'm going to do now is pull it apart again and put it back in the case, and head up to my local spot in the park where I'll get on the air with the radio, and hopefully appreciate a much more sensitive receive on this set. Well, we're up here at the park. We've set the radio up on the old quarter wave vertical, and the radio is receiving beautifully. Distant weak stations, I can hear them very, very clear. So yeah, it's pretty good.
I'll get organised here, so take care and good capture again. VK6AV42 going clear 73. Take care, Al, thank you. Who was the Delta Juliet Papa, was it? Yeah, VK2 Delta Juliet Papa.
Okay, you can hear some stations there talking to each other. So there you go. Yeah, lovely afternoon up here in the park, and just running my usual quarter wave vertical here with the 40-20 coupler that I manufacture and sell. So if anybody's interested in looking at that video, it's up on my channel as well. But there you go. It was a pretty good exercise here today to get the radio being a little bit more sensitive on receive, and I'll get into it now and see if I can get some DX happening.
Papa Radio Charlie, pedestrian portable, was it?
Roger, yeah, it's Alex here. Victor Kilo 2, Papa Radio Charlie, pedestrian portable. Set up in the park here using my British Army Clansman radio, over.
It's sounding great here. I think the name was Alex, name's Darren, about 45k, northeast of Wellington. I'll get a report next round, buddy, over.
Yeah, thank you very much for the contact. I heard you talking to the chap in Spain. He was so clear to me as well, over.
It's a good friend of mine, Xavier, but also a friend of a few friends over in Spain, Carlos and Angel. He's got a beautiful setup, Xavier. He's just put a four element monoband drum, so he's fantastic signal, and quite surprised that he's still hearing me. It's about 18 minutes past 9 over there in the morning, and probably one of the only stations coming out of Europe still, Alex. You're 59 over. Yeah, there's people who...
Yeah, here we've got a station just out of Paris at the moment, talking to some local VKs here. So I'm going to have a go at contacting him. Yeah, it's Victor Kilo 2, Papa Romeo Charlie. Portable, mate. Pedestrian portable. I'm set up here in my little park here, just south of Sydney. Lovely, lovely to hear you, over.
Oh yeah, lovely signal. Glad to wake you again, Alex. VK2PRC portable, pedestrian portable, pedestrian mobile. F6ARC. Yeah, good afternoon there. Good signals between 6 to 7. Between 6 to 7, very good indeed. So, glad to wake you again. Oh yeah, I checked my log. The last time we spoke was on 40 meters. I thought it was on 20, so that was on 40. Back in September 2020. Okay.
And there you have it. Seems to be receiving very, very well. So I'm very happy with that. Well, there you have it. Ended the afternoon with a fantastic DX contact just south of Paris. Oliver over there. Spoken to him quite a few times on different bands. But today I spoke to him on the 20 meter band using my half-wave end-fed antenna, and you probably noticed that on the post on the pole behind me. The antenna is matched with this coupler that I've developed over many years of research. It's a very, very high efficiency coupler, and it matches the half-wave end-fed perfectly, so you get an absolute perfect match. It's a very, very high efficiency antenna, good gain, low angle of radiation. The same antenna can be swapped from the 20 meter band to the 40 meter band and just change the feed point as well, and that makes the exact same antenna into a quarter wave for the 40 meter band. If anybody out there is interested in inquiring about these couplers that I manufacture, simply send me an email and I'll put that email up right now, and just freeze the screen there, copy the email down, send me an email, and I'll be only too happy to send you the price and details for the coupler. Thank you very much for watching my video, and for all you Clansman people out there, definitely the best radio in the world. 73, Victor Kilo 2, Papa Radio Charlie.